Okay, gone. I'm live.
Welcome back, everybody. How's everybody doing? Matt, how's it going?
It's going great. Charlie, great to see you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you fantastic. Can you hear us? We should do a Verizon commercial. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? So, everybody, welcome back. This is episode 4 of these Roswell virtual showrooms. And Matt, how about you? You want to give us a little update of what we're doing today?
Absolutely, yeah. So we cooked up this idea of the virtual showroom to answer the question that is most commonly asked about the Roswell microphones, which is where can I hear them? And especially with the pandemic, it's hard to get out into a studio and try out microphones. And so Charlie had the idea to bring you into the studio with great cameras and great artists and have a chance to hear how the microphones work on different sources. So that's basically the plan for today.
Yeah, and today we're doing, the first 3 episodes with Iron Point. We did bass, drums, guitar, vocals, all the rock band stuff. Today we're going to do some piano and vocals, and we have the fantastic Gabby Gordon joining us today. Gabby, you out there?
I'm out there. Hi, everybody. Over here. Hi,
She's in the live room, getting ready to do some performing. Got a couple great songs and some good mic setups. Now, one thing I want to mention with these, the mic setups before we go, like a lot of instruments, there is more than one way to mic these, and especially with piano. Every piano is different. This piano is completely different than the first one we had. So this isn't so much about, where and how to mic the piano as much as it is that Ernesto and I went and found some good spots that we really like to record with, and we have a couple sets of mics out just so you can hear what the microphones sound like. Your piano at home, your studio, you'll have to, deal with your room and the microphones and the signal chain that you have to find out what works best. This is one that we really like, that we feel shows these microphones off well, and the same thing with vocals. And speaking of mics, Matt, we're doing some different ones tonight, or this afternoon, I guess. You want to tell us which ones we're doing?
Yeah, so in the first 3 episodes, we really wanted to cover the Mini K47 and the Mini K87 in some depth. But today, and we had a lot of sources, and if you have too many mics times too many sources, you're just going to be there for weeks. And so today we wanted to bring in some of the larger mics, physically larger mics that Roswell makes. So we'll hear the Delphos II and the Colares on vocals, and then on the piano, we're going to hear the Colares again, as well as the Mini K47. And we can talk more about the mics as we get going, but that's kind of the top level of the plan.
Yep, that's what we're doing. And Gabby has 2 different songs. What we'll do is we'll record a little bit of each, like a verse chorus kind of thing, and hear the mics on the piano, and then we'll go back and do the same thing with some vocals. And then I think at the end she's going to do a full performance for us, which is going to be fantastic. So let's start off with, let's just dive in. What do you say? Gabby?
Yeah, let's do it.
Excellent. Let me make sure I got everybody in recording here. Okay, so we're going to start off with just piano. So I'm going to turn off our vocal mics here. And we're going to start with the Mini Ks. Now, okay, so what we did with the Mini K47s is sometimes you get a little bit away from the piano, a few feet, and it gives the sound a little time to develop and be a nice, smooth sound. That's kind of what we found, about 3 feet-ish away, maybe 2.5 feet, and up a little higher on the piano. You want to go to that piano back shot real quick? Back shot, yeah, got it. So that everybody can kind of get an idea of what we're doing. Okay. And if you guys see me turning backwards, it's because the screens are behind me. There we go. So those Mini Ks are about, probably about 3.5 feet up, just shy of 4 feet, kind of aimed down. And they're a few feet away from the piano. And that is the first one we're going to do. So Gabby, you want to do a little bit of you to start off with?
You as in just the piano part?
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Go for it. Nice. Nice. Turn the vocal mic back on. Cool. So it's a natural sound. It was that we both, Ernesto and I, kind of liked with it a little bit of the room involved in there. It's not a real direct sound, but it's a very nice, smooth kind of sound. Those mics do a nice job with that, with also keeping a little bit of the presence there, which was nice. And now, let's hear. So that's more like kind of hitting the chords, right? So Gabby, you want to do a little bit of Fishbowl now?
Yeah.
And we'll hear something that's a bit softer, kind of more arpeggio based.
Yes.
Go for it.
End on some suspense.
Nice. Those mics do a great job. I mean, man, Matt, for such an affordable microphone, they do a really nice job in space. And I think one thing I liked about these a few feet away from the piano is even though we're in the middle of the room, you know, we have no absorption anywhere, the Mini K47s, as they do with overhead drums, are a bit more focused. So it still keeps a little bit, to me anyway, what I'm hearing, a little bit of the articulation in the piano, even though those mics aren't that close to it.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the reasons for that is that particular capsule design has a slightly narrower than cardioid polar pattern, which means it doesn't necessarily hear quite so wide. It hears more what's in front of it. It is just slightly narrower than cardioid. So yeah, that's exactly it. It's a little focused right at the capsule.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. Okay. So that's one way with the piano. You get the mics kind of back, you let it be in the space. But this particular piano also does a really nice job with the mics up. And now we're going to move to one of my favorite mics that Matt makes that I absolutely am in love with, and that is the Colares. And as Ernesto likes to say, and I know Matt's doing some custom work now, and he'll probably tell you about more of that in the future, or at least in a little bit. But Ernesto likes to say that we put the new grills on the top, so we put the new rims on the microphone. So it's got the nice custom black grill on it, which we really dig. It looks good, man. Yeah, you get it in there, you can kind of see him there. Yeah, I like. All right, Gabby, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's go the same thing we did. Let's start with you, and then we'll do Fishbowl second, and just do the piano again. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Yep.
Okay, we are rolling.
Yeah, just go for it. Just go for it.
Okay, I'm starting again.
Yeah, go for it.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, I pulled a bit of a fast one on Gabby when she got here, and I said, hey, can we record? She's so used to playing everything together, and I said, can we do the vocals and the piano separate? Nicely done, nicely done.
My chops are being tested. It's all right. Who wouldn't want that to happen live on air?
Oh, exactly. But if you guys want to see something great live, Gabby was one of the performers on our last Piano Bar concert series, and go check it out. There's 2 sets of it. It's absolutely fantastic. Okay, so Colares, we got we're in a different position, but this mic is a whole entirely different beast than all the others. And Matt, I'm gonna let you just tell that real quick so everybody understands, because I don't quite understand all the voodoo that you've done in this microphone.
Yeah. So this is the Colares. I'll show you what it looks like. This is if you were to buy one, this is what you would get. You wouldn't get the fancy blue tape. This is our Gold Master mic. So only the Gold Master gets the fancy blue tape. But that's what the mic looks like. And it's a large diaphragm condenser. It is an edge terminated capsule. Sonically, it's inspired by a vintage mic called the Elam 251, which was made a really long time ago. And if you can find one, they cost about $15,000. There are a lot of clones and tribute mics that are made like that. So all of those are tube microphones. And we didn't want to do that because what we wanted to do was try to capture the sound or the essence of that mic without making you spend $15,000. And tube microphones can be great for some things, but you have to have the separate power supply, and they take time to warm up, and they're a little more fragile because there's literally a glass tube inside. We did some analysis of this, and what we came up with was that the component of the sound that people really love about these old tube microphones is basically second harmonic distortion or coloration, and it gives the sound a sort of saturated quality. And the neat thing is you don't need to have a vacuum tube circuit to do that. The downside of the vacuum tube is, again, it's fragile, it costs a lot, you need the extra power supply, you need warm-up time, and they can be noisy too. Tube selection is a big part of the reason why good tube microphones cost a lot of money, because someone has to sit there and plug in 50 tubes to pick out the 3 that are worth having. So we did away with all that and just came up with a mic that gives you that saturated quality, also sometimes known as like a big vocal quality, in a solid state mic. Solid state meaning you plug it into your preamp, it runs on phantom power, and it just sounds big. Charlie and I had a Zoom call with Ross Hogarth just the other day, and we streamed that a couple days ago. It was sort of a producer's roundtable, and Ross really likes this mic, and he was talking about its immediacy. So it really manages to bring the source kind of up front and present without being too bright or harsh or anything like that. So it's got a little bit of a scooped quality to it in what I consider a good way, meaning it's big and round on the bottom, and it's got a little bit of presence on top. So that's basically the idea behind the mic. So it's designed as a vocal mic, but obviously works on a lot of different sources, and you're hearing it here on piano. So
Microphone, at least for this piano, it's just insane. It's full, it's round, it's articulate, but somehow it's still very, I'm going to use the word gooey because I just feel like I can kind of reach into the sound. It's just nice. And we're going to hear something with it on the vocals too that is going to be very interesting too when we get there, because we will record some of her vocals with another one. So let's do this. Gabby,
Yes,
let's
sir.
do a little fishbowl. Let's get a little arpeggio with
Yeah.
this, all right? All right, you are good to go. Nice. Very nice. That is one thing I like about this, just to reiterate something that Matt said earlier. This mic's really clean, though you are getting that vibe of a tube-like mic. There's a little bit of that, call it whatever you will, analog mojo, whatever. But it's nice and full, but the noise floor is non-existent on this microphone, which is fantastic, especially if you're using it on a dynamic source, like a piano or a acoustic guitar or something like that. It works really well. Very nice, Gabby.
Thanks.
Okay, so we have a couple of our pianos mics recorded. We're gonna go do a little bit of vocal work now. And we're gonna start with, this is a mic we have not done also at all yet. We're gonna start with the Delphos, which for me, I'll let Matt tell you some of the details of it, but for me, this is what I consider one of my workhorse microphones in the studio because it sounds good no matter what you put it on. It's one of those mics that even if it doesn't have the exact color you're looking for, it will always work. It has multiple patterns, and it handles just about everything. So Matt, do you want to give a few details on the makings of the Delphos II?
I certainly can. Yeah, so the Delphos II is this mic here. And so it's the same size as the Colares, but very, very different inside. In fact, it's entirely different inside. Different capsule, different circuit, different topology, just a whole different idea. So like Charlie said, it's a 3-pattern mic, so it's got cardioid, omni, and figure 8. Cardioid means it basically hears what's in front of it. Figure 8 would mean it hears what's in front and what's behind, but really nothing from the sides. And then omni would be, of course, it hears all around it. And all those patterns have applications in the studio. They're good for different things. And this mic also has a 10 decibel pad, which turns down the input volume essentially so that you can record louder things without overdriving the microphone or overdriving your preamp. So Charlie said it's a sort of go-to all-purpose mic, and it's gratifying to hear that because that's why I designed it. That's what I designed it to do. It is a very neutral, very clean circuit, very low distortion, very low noise, and it also has kind of a more or less flat frequency response. So a lot of microphones don't sound like that. And being flat isn't inherently better than something else. But what it does mean is that it tends to work with a lot of different sources. It does not impose its own will, its own color, its own character on the source. And what we've heard from producers is that this particular mic is really great on pop vocals because within that genre, you are going to be part of the way that music is produced. You're going to be using a lot of effects, whether in the box or outside the box. You're going to have compression and limiting and tuning and reverb and more compression and EQ and all this stuff. And so what the producers tell me, and I'm not a pop vocal producer, but what they tell me is that this mic really stands up to that because it captures a really honest, clean track that you can then process the hell out of, and it still sounds good at the end of all of that processing. In contrast to Colares, of course, you can do all kinds of processing to it as well, but you probably don't need to because it's already got some of that saturation. It's already got some of that natural EQ that you would want. So that's one of the ways that I mentally distinguish these two models.
It's a fairly, I think, a perfectly accurate description of that mic. That's exactly what I would have said if you asked me to describe it. And so that's why it works for so many different things, is because that it is pretty just, for the most part, flat and accurate and very smooth sounding. Mm-hmm. So Gabby, you there right now?
Yeah,
okay.
And I was also going to add, if you're the kind of singer like me who gets a lot of different projects where you have to sing in different voices, sometimes very all across the board, wispy and soft like Billy or big power vocals, it's really important to have a versatile kind of mic that really just captures the pure sound in a more neutral way. So that would be a good choice.
Exactly.
For that as well.
I kind of fell in love with this mic starting with the Delphos 1, and the Delphos 2 just took it up a notch with all 3 patterns, and the form factor I like too. So, okay, Gabby.
Yes, sir.
You ready to do just some vocals?
Yeah.
So let me get to the top of, let's start with you.
Yeah.
If that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll do a little bit of Fishbowl. Oh, one thing I do want to mention on all the piano stuff, everyone, I'm panning everything left and right about 50%. It's not hard left, hard right. It's just enough to give the piano a little bit of spread, like if you were sitting in front of it. All right. Let me make sure I got you on record. There we go. Okay, you ready, Gab?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
I'm starting again. You stand by me, baby. You give me love like I've never known. You reach deep inside me. You take me higher than I've ever flown. Whoa, baby, it's you I hold on to. Others come and they go, but I know it's you I hold on to. When the world falls apart, I can count on you to hold on to. Near or far from me, I guarantee it's you I hold on to.
Hey, nice job. Nice job. I know you're so used to doing it all at one time, but man, fantastic.
Cool.
Fantastic. Very clear, open sound.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's switch gears and go to a more mellow tune and hear what it sounds like there. It actually sounds really nice on your voice. All right, you ready, Gab?
Yeah. Leading thoughts to a room that ain't listening. Wish they look up and let me in, but everybody's in a fishbowl. Everybody's gotten so cold. Throwing all of my body onto these keys. They're the only ones I please. Everybody's in a fishbowl. Maybe I'm in one of my own. Ooh, friends are telling me I should quit, but I'm an addict looking for a hit. Fake a smile, telling myself I'm worth more, so much more. And I've got stories I wanna tell, scars on my body, bruises in my belt, memories I can't leave on the shelf. No, I can't stop this now.
I love your voice. Sounds
Charlie.
fantastic. The one thing, it's nice. That mic is nice and airy. It's got an without being, without having an obvious process sound to the top end. One thing I hear is you're singing, especially as you get up there, I can still hear a little bit of that air on there that gives it a nice present feel, like I'm sitting right next to you, but it's still very, very clear.
Mm-hmm.
That microphone handles top end of anything really nice. Acoustic guitar, cymbals, it just does a great job with anything that has top end. Okay, so now I'm going to go switch. I've got to rotate the other mic in there, and we're going to do some vocals with the Colares. So we're going to have an all Colares set up here in a second, which is one of my favorites. So Matt, I can't, did you talk about how the pad works on the Colares at all?
I didn't, but I can.
Okay, we're going to be able to demonstrate that a little bit on the vocal. So if you want to just kind of let them know what's up, and I'm going to go switch mics.
Yeah, right on. So the Colares, so I have to back up a little bit. When, there's a sort of right way to design microphones, and usually that right way is to really kind of minimize distortion. But the thing about distortion is that, and some people don't understand this, so apologies to those of you who already do, but there's different kinds of distortion, basically good and bad. And the quote-unquote good kind is basically even order harmonic distortion, and that's what gives a microphone this kind of saturated quality, and it helps a source cut through a mix without just turning it up. And then the other kind of distortion is stuff that can sound, can clash, can be out of key, can sound harsh. And so clearly you'll want to have some of the first and none of the second kind. And so, like I talked before about these vintage 2 mics, they have even order harmonic distortion. and that's the good kind. And so we built some of that into the microphone, into the Colares. And yet, when we were doing it, I also didn't want to make it a subtle mic. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many microphones I've tried that had different kind of modes on them, and I'd listen to one mode, and I'd turn it to the other mode, and I'd be like, yeah, that sounds kind of the same. Like, what's this feature about if I can't hear any kind of difference? And so I didn't want to go really subtle with this. We kind of put a little bit of extra saturation into this mic, and then I got nervous that it was going to be too much. And so we changed the pad feature to basically disable the saturation circuit as well. So it kind of does two things at once. So the pad on this microphone does what pads always do, which is they turn down the signal, but then it also turns down the saturation. And so the pad switch cuts the level by about 10 decibels, but it also cuts the saturation by even more, like 12 or 14 decibels. So what you can do is turn the pad on and then apply 10 decibels of makeup gain on your preamp to get, and I don't want to oversell this, it's not like it's a second sound, because it's not going to bash you over the head with it. But there is a difference there. So if you're singing into it and you're loud, or whatever the source is, if it's a louder source and it is pushing the microphone into this kind of saturated quality, and it's more than you need, turn the pad on the mic and then give your preamp some makeup gain, and that will give you the same basic tonality, same frequency response, but less of that saturated quality. So that's the long answer on the pad switch.
And we're going to be able to demonstrate that a little bit. We did it in sound check, and it is like Matt said, it's not boom. It sounds like an entirely different mic. But before I even had a chance to tell Gabby what I was doing, she goes, "Ooh, I can hear the difference." And we went back and forth and found out the one that she liked better that was coming back in the headphones. So there is a difference, and like Matt said, the more you push it, the more it will be obvious. So on lighter sources, things that are pretty even, it won't be a big deal. I like the colorization, so I actually went and had some really nice 18 dB pads made, so I can use that with this mic and not have to turn the pad on and just keep pushing it, because it sounds so cool. All right, let me get Gabby turned on the Colares. All right, Gabby, you there?
Yeah.
Oh, there we are. There we are. Okay, so let's go back. Let's do you first.
Yeah.
All right. Make sure I got everything on. All right, you ready to go?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
I'm starting again. You stay by me, baby. You give me love like I've never known. You reach deep inside me. You take me higher than I've ever flown. Whoa, baby, it's you I hold on to. Others come and they go, but I know it's you I hold on to. When the world falls apart, I can count on you to hold on to. Near or far from me, I guarantee it's you I hold on to.
Nice. Right out of the gates, I can hear the richness of this microphone. All right, let's do Fishbowl. You ready?
Could I just get a little bit more vocal? I'm
You
not
got
sure
it.
if.
No. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
All right, you got yourself now?
Yeah.
See, the artist always got to yell at the engineer. Make sure they're getting what they want. You don't get what you want unless you ask for it.
It's our business.
All right, here we go.
Leading thoughts to a room that ain't listening. Wish they look up and let me in, but everybody's in a fishbowl. Everybody's gotten so cold. Throwing all of my body onto these keys. They're the only ones much more. I've got stories I want to tell. Scars on my body, grooves in my belt. Memories I can't leave on the shelf. No, I can't stop this now.
Oh, yeah. Nice. That mic has a very nice presence to it. So now, as promised, we're going to turn the pad on. So Gabby, you remember that switch on the right side?
Yeah.
Would you go ahead and switch that on?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I have the gain about where we did in sound check. Talk to me real quick.
Hey, 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 Charlie, Charlie.
Oh yeah, I can even hear the difference now. Okay, let me get the other channel on. All right, can we do both of these again with the pad?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we'll start with the first one. Here we go.
I'm starting again. You stay by me, baby. You give me love like I've never known. You reach deep inside me. You take me higher than I've ever flown. Whoa, baby, it's you I hold on to. Others come and they go, but I know it's you I hold on to. When the world falls apart, I can count on you to hold on to. Near or far from me, I guarantee it's you I hold on to.
Nice. It's definitely a different, I'm going to just match my gain just a hair better. There we go. All right. Song number 2, you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Can I? Hold
Sorry,
on, Charlie.
talk to me.
Don't think I'm on.
Try it now.
Hey, hey. Yeah.
Ah, engineering training again. I don't know if you guys out there can tell, but we have some fun doing these things. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Leading thoughts to a room that ain't listening. Wish they look up and let me in, but everybody's in a fishbowl. Everybody's gotten so cold. Throwing all of my body onto these keys. They're the only ones I please. Everybody's in a fishbowl. Maybe I'm in one of my own. Ooh, friends are telling me I should quit, but I'm an addict looking for a hit. Fake a smile, telling myself I'm worth more, so much more. I've got stories I wanna tell. Scars on my body, grooves in my belt. Memories I can't leave on the shelf. No, I can't stop this now.
Nice. Definitely a different character in this mic. Gabby, out of curiosity, now that you've sang into both of them kind of back to back, as what you're getting back in the headphones, is there one setting that you like better than the other, or is it that big of a difference to you?
I think I might have preferred the first one, actually.
Which was exactly the same as sound check. Yes. So what I'm going to do, just so we can kind of see if we can hear it, I'm going to run a little bit of the beginning of Fishbowl back here. So give me a second, Gabby.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do playback. So I'm going to start with what we just heard, just one time. I'm just going to run the first couple lines.
Leading thoughts to a room that ain't listening. Wish they look up and let me in, but everybody's in a fishbowl. Everybody's gotten so cold.
All right, now with the pad off.
Leading thoughts
lost to a room that ain't listening. Wish they look up and let me in, but everybody's in a fishbowl. Everybody's gotten so cold.
So this is actually one of those times that it does make a difference. It's real to me. At least for what I'm hearing, I hear a little bit of that extra push. And I don't know, Ernesto, if you're hearing it in that kind of mid-range, and a little bit the way the top of the vocal, I just feel like it's sitting more right here. And with the pad engaged and a drop in those second order harmonics, it sounds cleaner, like more modern in a way. It doesn't sound bad. It's just cleaner. I like the color. So I agree with you, Gabby, is what I'm hearing back. I actually like the colorization of the pad not engaged. I mean, you could say it's subtle, and it is, but it's there. Matt?
So, Charlie, quick question.
Shoot.
We can release these piano tracks and vocal tracks, right, for download at some point?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that'd be important, too, for everybody to be able to hear what these sound like on their own set of, speakers in their own time. So, yeah, we should be able to do that.
Yeah, so a really cool thing to do for those of you who are audio engineers in the audience is to line up the tracks in your DAW and then just do an exclusive solo back and forth. So you can flip back and forth with one click over the same looped passage. And that's a really great way, not just for this, but in general, to compare two different mics on the same source. It's a really great way to compare two different sounds. It really helps you hone in on what the differences are.
But also, I want to add one thing when it comes to some of this, too, especially when we start talking about what we are with the Colares and those two types of settings. Sometimes it's not just the sonics you're listening for, but it's also how it makes you feel. Because when I hear it with the pad not engaged, there's something more intimate to me about that mic that makes me feel a different way about the song that I'm listening to. And some people may like that, and you may not. But so it's not just this does that, or this sound does that. It's like, what does it make you feel like? Because sometimes ooh, that sounds great, but it doesn't make me feel the way I want to feel about the song. So keep that in mind when you start listening to that. Yeah.
So, Charlie, question from the chat section. There's no
Shoot.
EQ anywhere, right? We're just using Trident preamps and then no EQ?
Yeah, and I'm on the clean section of the board, or the clean meaning there's no input transformers on this part of the board, too, so we're just hearing the mics. The only EQ I'm doing is probably on my voice. I had a touch of reverb on her for just playback in there, but that was it. Trying to keep it clean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, Gabby, some very nice comments about the singing. Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so Matt, do you have anything you want to add with any of this before we close out? I think Gabby will have her play us out and actually get to do piano and vocals at the same time.
I was going to say one more very brief thing, only because Charlie had brought up this the custom shop grills. So they had shown the piano mics, and it's a Colares with a different grill on top. And that is something that we're offering through the custom shop through the Roswell website. I don't have any props to show you that, but it is an option for that mic. And that's why his mics look a little different. And I just wanted to mention that, but that's it. And I also wanted to thank Gabby. You sound amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I've been sitting here with my jaw on the floor. I have to pick it back up when they cut to me on the camera, but thank you so much for helping us out with this.
Oh,
Sounds
it's
incredible.
been fun.
So yeah, if you could play us out like Charlie said, that would be amazing.
Absolutely. It's really fun to hear what's the differences.
Hey, Gabby, let's go back to, you want to turn that pad off?
Yeah. So it's down all the way, right? That means it's off.
Oh, yeah, I can hear the difference already.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so let me get this. Let me get everybody turned on here. So this is going to be an all Colares live pass. Which you can do you?
Yeah.
Should we go out rocking? Okay, cool.
Sure.
So this is going to be Colares on the piano, Colares on the vocal, no pads engaged, so we're getting as much rich harmonic colorization as we can get. All right. All right, Gabby. Take us home.
You stand by me, baby. You give me never